Are we back, folks? There we go. Oh, it's unlisted. Oh no. We've got to edit that. Ah. Public. There we go. Whew. What happened? It seems like my internet modem like turned off for like a minute or two and then turned back on. No idea why. No idea why. But we're back. Let's get some people to trickle in here. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hello. Like the new stream. Oof, we're going to be kind of cooked on this one. Well, that's too bad. I feel like we were really grooving there for a bit. Okay. It's almost like I'm here on time. As you all know, you'll have to redo your subs and donos because the ones from last stream just don't count anymore. Just don't count. No, I'm kidding. They do. They do. They do. But continue to support because we do not come
live from the Polymarket studio in LA.
Yeah, we don't come live from that studio. The stream ended at almost exactly 4.5 hours. Cool. Here we are again on my own. When you said pregnant people, did you mean people with uterus? Well, do you know any other kinds of people who can get pregnant? Do not come. Hey, it's Brittany, bitch. I feel like the number of T's and the H's in there meant I had to add some flair to the bitch. Had to add some flair to that bitch. Oof. Pregnante. I like the misspelling of pregnant there. Just pregnante makes it sound fancy. Sage, I just don't know that like finding a healthcare provider to not fuck you is like a really great example of liberty. You know, like that to me, that isn't freedom. To me, that is an onerous imposition. Pregnante. Yes, we're back. Pregnante sounds like a spaghetti sauce. I mean, all right. You do you. Hilarious. I jumped around bars and got straight back to this bar. Hell yeah. Welcome back, Ford. Prego is a name of a pasta sauce. You are right, Nyan Dot. Or Nine Dot. There we go. Nailed it. A bonus hole. A hole for bonuses. Clearly. What happened? My modem went down for a split second. Whew. And by a split second, I mean like a full minute, long enough for the stream to stop, and that's very infuriating. My favorite part of my favorite part of having sex is that sometimes you're doing your thing, you get to the end of the level, and then there's a bonus level. That the bonus level is sometimes the best part. Pregnante. You did not zoot past the end, because like I still intend to finish this stream.
People are aroused. I haven't seen people so aroused in a very, very long time.
It's true. I have not. You're all so aroused right now. Love how you all get that Jenk is a pretty big grifter. He's cringe. You know, calling it, I'm not sure if he's a grifter or not. Like, I don't know the level to which he genuinely believes anything, right? I you know, his recent turn makes me question whether he believed anything the entire time, you know? As someone who's pretty consistent in my beliefs, it makes me think like maybe it was just never real in the first place. And at that point, it's kind of like, well, is he being a grifter by changing, or was I just not smart enough to understand what he believed? You know, was I just bamboozled? I don't know. It's the definition of grifter. Yeah, but usually, like, being a grifter means that he's portraying himself like believing things he doesn't actually believe. And I think there's a difference between that and just having no beliefs whatsoever and saying whatever's useful. Does that make sense? Like the idea of like just like in a way that's almost honest, because I don't know. You weren't smacked by content? No, I was not smacked by content. Just a internet drop. Yeah, maybe a nihilistic grifter is still a grifter. That's a good point. Maybe it's just my like autism being like, oh well, someone lying in addition to not believing. Maybe it's just like, to me it seems worse to believe something and then say the opposite for money. Does that make sense? Like, there's a part of me that's just like repulsed by that. Yeah, I get that. Okay, cool. I'm glad that doesn't sound insane to some of you. Jack and Chet, thanks for educating me on this Nazis are not socialists the other night. Literally had no clue. And remember, fight for trans rights and get Palestine out of genocide. Hell yeah. You know what that is, chat? Growth. And we love growth here. All right. You know what? Fuck it. Since we weren't that deep into the Francesca part, we're gonna start that video over so that we can just have two segments on it. Okay. I wanted to have them as just one big segment, but you know what? Can't always have what you want. All right. Gonna hit this button. So, folks, in part one of this, we looked at Cenk Uyghur's statement on why he was firing Francesca Fiorentini from the Young Turks, or ending her show, or what association ship, whatever term they want to use there. She's now banned from TYT or any of its network shows. And his statement lacked a lot of substance. It didn't really engage with her criticism. It was just like, oh, well, a lot of people, think that trans people shouldn't be in any sports. And actually, we're the real left here. And people calling me a bitch are bad. So, yeah. And it was that for almost 30 full minutes. So let's take a look at Francesca's statement and see if we can come to any conclusions here.
You know when you meet someone and they swear that all of their exes were psychos, and then you slowly realize that, oh wait, I'm talking to the person who was the problem in the relationship? Unrelatedly, the Young Turks. And I'm going to make this as brief as possible because there are a million far more important and pressing things going on right now. As you know, actual fascism. But to make it brief, Cenk Uyghur, the head of TYT, recently hath forboten me from appearing on any TYT shows because, in part, I said that him capitulating to right-wing framing on many issues meant he was, quote, acting like a bitch. And the truth is, he was. And
mad amount of respect for Francesca for just being like, yeah, I said what I said, and he was. Good for her.
I'll explain that a little bit later. But first, some backstory. So I have been a contractor at TYT for 10 years now, appearing on all of the shows as a fill-in host, as a...
Liz Galahad, I didn't even make that connection. Wow, I can't believe that the host of the Bituation Room called someone a bitch. Truly a shocking turn of events that will scar Cenk. That is a 10 out of 10 comment right there. And I cannot believe my brain did not make that connection. Oh my God. Oh.
Guest host during election
What
coverage,
a twist.
On the TYT main show, on the Damage Report, and on Indisputable, along with a lot of other shows. I have always hopped on at the last minute, always helped out in a pinch. I guest host last minute, and yes, I was paid. And if you're watching this and you are a TYT contributor and you are not getting paid, stop going on TYT until you do. I've never been a full-time employee, never got healthcare, never got maternity leave when I had my child. But back in 2018, I was hired for a 6-month contract to pilot a show for $3,000 a month. Then,
That's
however,
pretty good.
Their funding bottomed out and I was let go.
Oh.
And they broke their contract. My reps at the time thought I should sue to get the full 6 months of payment and work that I was owed. But I didn't, because I told them that TYT was good people, and I wanted to make...
Yeah, I mean, missing out on $12,000 is a pretty big deal when you are a scrappy YouTuber. I don't feel like I have to tell you guys that if I suddenly was out $12,000, I'd be fucked. Like, that would be literally like, I need to, sell my car and just walk around. Like, I would be screwed. I'd be done. So that's a big gesture. Yeah, the less you have, the more $12,000 is. Exactly.
Maintain my relationship, and I did. That is until things started to turn for TYT politically. And this started happening around...
That's like my entire net worth, Dark Sparkle. Exactly.
Pandemic. Around the pandemic, Anna Kasparian seemed to become focused on the issue of...
Wait, can I not do math? because it was $3,000 a month for, sorry, $18,000. Holy shit. Okay, wait. Sorry. My guys, you'll never believe this. I was an English major and not a math major. I have a degree in English literature and not mathematics. I know you guys will never believe it. Yeah, $18,000 is like life-ruining amount of money to not get.
Homelessness, especially in a city that I used to call home, which is San Francisco. She had an objectively scary experience with an unhoused person, and in fact, I went back to see when she told her audience about this. And I do remember the day that Anna told the story on air. In fact, I was also on after she told that story, but I didn't hear it at the time. It was within an interview that she was doing with an author by the name of Michael Schellenberger, who had written the book San Francisco, Why Progressives Are Ruining Cities. And
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. You know, like the idea. Yes, the progressive network uncritically platforming a guy who wrote a book about how progressives ruin cities. That's nuts.
instead of focusing on housing market prices, on how homelessness often leads to things like addiction and mental illness, Schellenberger focuses on Democrats who thinks go too easy on the unhoused. I remember that I jumped onto the show right after he got off, after that interview, and the TYT audience was really pissed because they felt like the framing and the platforming of someone like Schellenberger was a disservice to the issue of homelessness, mental illness, and addiction. Anna apparently took that as the chat downplaying what happened to her rather than how the issues were presented. She's since gone on right-wing shows like Glenn Beck, Piers Morgan, and Jillian Michaels, among others, to retell this story and use it as rationale for why she feels the left left her, that maybe she's never been left, why she's politically homeless, or, politically unhoused. Since then, she's gone on to cover critical stories from a right-wing framing, like the alleged takeovers of buildings by Venezuelan gangs in Aurora, Colorado, like the mentally ill, undocumented man in Los Angeles, who was found lighting fires, but who was not responsible for the wildfires themselves in January. Throwing progressive mayors like Brandon Johnson of Chicago under the bus because he listens to teachers too much. Anna's actually
And also, I believe he was a proponent of cashless bail.
really skilled at what she does. So the laziness with which she treats these stories,
You know, like ending cash bail is unironically a great thing. No one should be in prison because they're poor.
really just stands out all the more. Let me give you some backstory, though, of Anna and my friendship. We've never been close, despite a hike, a dinner.
Yeah, also, Johnny Ramo, if you are down to your last $5, do not give it to me. Please make sure you and yours are okay first, okay? Absolutely make sure you and yours are okay first.
And the time that she generously gave me a gift for my new baby, and then explained to me that she was going to debate Ben Shapiro because, in her words, she, quote, felt she could win over his audience. Two moments with Anna stand out for me in terms of how I've always treated her. In 2016, I was working with AJ Plus, and we were at the RNC. I had just started going on TYT a little bit and meeting everyone. And TYT was there, and Anna was there, and she was frustrated because she hadn't been booked on many appearances on camera, and instead a panel of men mostly clogged up the day. I stood next to her and told her how annoying that was, and just tried to build her up in solidarity. Then in 2019, we went out to lunch in Los Angeles at an awesome spot that she knew of. And Anna confided to me that she was frustrated about leadership at TYT. How she wasn't involved in day-to-day decision-making, and how...
Yeah, like, I'm actually not upset at Anna Kasparian for debating Ben Shapiro. Like, I'm not upset at that in concept. I think that debate she actually did fairly okay. But, like, of the things that I disagree with Anna about, that's pretty low on the list. I think that debate was relatively okay. It's been a while since I saw it. But like, you know, debates mileage may vary, you know? If the goal is to try and bring people over to your position, yeah, I don't know. Do you think no, mini me no. I don't.
Cenk viewed her more as a kid sister rather than a co equal partner. And at the time, she wanted to branch out on her own and do videos on a
Hey,
new
Uncle
channel. I
Gumbo.
implored her at that moment to stay. I said that it's always women that tend to walk away from organizations, even when they've helped build them up to the point that they're at. I told her to fight for more of a
Like, I wouldn't have gone about that debate the same way or like struck the same points, but like I think that Ben Shapiro debate was fine. Like, and in concept, I don't disagree with debating Ben Shapiro.
decision making role and to not walk away. And she did. And it looks like the editorial decisions that we see being made at TYT are in part because she now has the reins. In a way, I'm proud of her, even if I don't like the coverage. In November of last year, in an effort to understand where Anna was coming from,
Do you think she won over his audience, though? I mean, I definitely think by now she has, but not in the way, you know, one would hope from a leftist perspective.
and why she was doing what she was doing, I invited her to come on my show, The Bituation Room. She agreed, but also told me that she had a family emergency that sounded bad, and I told her to not worry and that we would find a time in the new year. That week, she went on Glenn Beck's show, and it kind of puzzled me, to be honest. She obviously now is likely not going to come on my show, in part because Cenk did. And I wanted to talk to
I also just want to say, like, that Glenn Beck appearance was on an order of magnitude more disappointing than anything else I can conceive of. You know, like that was so horrifically bad. Who's she speaking about? TYT, Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian.
him about his own very cordial conversations with the right since the election or re-election of Donald Trump, in which he tells various figures from Charlie Kirk to Patrick Bet-David to Tim Pool to,
You know, OG Mountain Dragon, thank you for thanking me for debunking that crazy crazy Aurora, Colorado story, because like I'm not really that mad about it, but I am a little salty that there are several other YouTubers that went far more viral than I did after I did like a 2-hour long breakdown of why that story was horseshit. I got mine out first, motherfuckers. Just a little salty about that. But overall, I don't really care that I don't really care. I'm glad that that story got thoroughly debunked. And honestly, I think more than anything else, what story? The story about there being a Venezuelan gang in Aurora, Colorado that was taking over apartment complexes, when the reality of the situation was that a landlord company put out a press release claiming that their apartments that were criminally neglected and riddled with infestation and roaches to the point where those buildings had to be shut down. Their claim was, oh, we'd been neglecting them because they were taken over by gangs. That the fact that they just ran with that and then didn't look into it and still to this day haven't issued a correction about that one, it is insane to me. It is negligent in the extreme.
RFK Jr.
Especially because it became like a cornerstone for Donald Trump's mass deportation effort. The gang in question in that story was Tren de Aragua. And they're the ones that he's trying to do deportations to the El Salvadoran concentration camp. Wait, that's absolutely not real? No, Tren de Aragua was not taking over apartment complexes across Colorado or in Aurora, Colorado. There was local reporting on the ground. Let's see if I can find on my channel the video I put out about it. So you guys can go watch that. Was it this one? It might have been this one. This one? Versus... No, not this one. Where is it? Ah, here we go. Found it. Yep, deeply flawed reporting from TYT made Aurora apartment residents unsafe. Boop. There you go. There you go. And... Whoop. There we go. Boop. Yeah, the algorithm hasn't really favored me, but I'm a very small channel. The algorithm favors bigger channels. Yeah. Yeah, the neglect happened in every apartment they owned, but they were claiming it was all gangs despite no evidence, and despite the residents of the building staging protests against the landlord and being interviewed by local media, being like, no, there is no gang active here. We're just being screwed over by the landlord. Wild stuff. What was up with the video of the gunman? There was like an isolated incident of like one guy, and I believe that the incident in the video, none of those members were Tren de Aragua. Yeah. Like, there were incidents of gang violence in Aurora, Colorado, because Aurora, Colorado is a fairly large city, and you're going to get that in cities. Yeah. Uncle Gumbald, it got really weird. Anyway, go watch the video. It's like an hour and a half long. You guys, there's a lot of info in there. Well, let's continue here.
Your lover, again, Jillian Michaels, about how he agrees that the left is often cruel and too extreme, saying that at a time where people are literally being disappeared for their political beliefs by this right-wing agenda. Anyone can watch the discussion, I put it in the link below, and it's honestly just a really disturbing portrait of his very with me or against me mentality. I even foreshadowed in the video the idea that he would boot me from TYT one day. And he did. It was also staggering how much he was shadowboxing with me as some kind of stand-in for the max left that has lost their minds. In that video, he laughed.
I still want him to talk more about what this max left is. I'm intrigued. As a leftist, maybe it's my calling. Maybe I am max left. Who knows? Any one of us could be max left.
At me for suggesting that Trump would create detention camps. After the discussion in December, TYT main show never asked me back on. And then when I made a harmless little video pointing out that yes, there are detention camps, That seemed to be one of the final straws. Personally, Jenk and I were never.
Yeah, exactly, Van Briggs. As somebody who literally lived in Aurora, I know from direct experience the whole Tren de Aragua thing is bullshit, which also local news in Aurora, Colorado pointed out. And like, I defer to the local news reporters on that one, you know?
Never close. In 2022, I think we went out to lunch and he asked me if I wanted to work with TYT full time. And it gave me pause. Look, I work with a number of outlets. I am a stand up comedian. I value my free time and I have my own show. I wanted time to do those things, but also I pay through the nose.
I am Max Left. My name is Maximus Leftius Transius. Mother to a transed son. Wife to a transed husband. And I will have my estrogen in this life or the next. Are you not enter-transed?
For things like healthcare and a little bit of job stability would be amazing. I also know how hard the company works people who work there, and I know how it treated the union drive. I also know how much they deny full-time employees bonuses every year, even when they're delivering millions of views. I know that they're kind of cheap, and Jenk usually doesn't like it when people negotiate with him. So I said, sure, I want to work for TYT full-time, but it depends on the offer, which, by the way, you should always ask for an offer before.
This is good advice. You should always ask for an offer. Like, you should always qualify when someone's like, hey, you want to work for us? Like you should, your default response should be, yeah, like, what's your offer? I'll consider it. You know, like.
Or you pledge loyalty to anyone or any company. An offer never came because, in my view, loyalty wasn't a given. All this to say, I'm not sad to leave TYT behind, especially now, with, of course, the exception of the damage report with John Idarola, who I care about and I think is so talented. But we live in a time of right-wing monsters, authoritarians, and yes, fascists. And anyone capitulating to their framework about human rights, about policing, around militarism, is not serious about liberation or democracy. Please, never watch anyone who can't admit when they're wrong. Never watch anyone who tells you that their strategy is right and that they are the way, the truth, the light. Never listen to anyone who doesn't have a sense of humor when they are acting like a bitch. I am one person with a scrappy YouTube channel who pieces together my annual living. I have a fraction of the following of TYT, which is $1 million media company. The idea that they choose to focus on me or other leftist creators in their field is honestly really disheartening and very revealing. Look, I wish the best for the people of TYT, but as for the main hosts, I kind of just wish them peace, because it's been a long, long road with many skeletons in many closets. And honestly, I don't think they know where that road is going. And it's going to be really sad when they respond to this video or try to smear me as if there weren't so many other pressing things to talk about. But I just had to get it off my chest, explain to you what's going on, and tell you that I am the host of the Bitchuation Room podcast and also America Unhinged on Zateo. And you can also catch me doing live comedy, hopefully in a city near you. Until then, later.
Honestly, that was great. I thought that was a fairly classy response that stuck to her guns and also showed strength, conviction, and really pointed out, like, hey, she had a lot of reason to have, you know, a bone to pick with TYT that she did not act upon in the past. And, like, she held out hope for a long time that they would improve, and they didn't. And, like, it's time to part ways. You know, it sucks that they're parting ways in, like, this manner, but, like, good on her for sticking to her guns. I like her. I've never seen her on TYT, but I like her spark. Well, she's now co-hosting a show on Mehdi Hassan's network, Zateo, which I very much recommend. I've liked a lot of what I've seen from Zateo. Mehdi Hassan has been doing great work there. One of the things I want to cover that I just haven't gotten around to yet is he had an excellent confrontation with a senator who voted to censure Al Green. So that was pretty cool. I want to cover that on stream sometime. Are TYT's subs bots? I don't think so. She is a fantastic addition to the Majority Report when she's on there. Yeah, absolutely. God, I wonder what the AFL-CIO's statement on the mass. You know, I'm just gonna look it up. Let's see. Very definition of union busting. Okay. Not a very robust statement. Oof. Also, folks, we do just have to talk about this quickly because, like, the Trump executive order that I'm sure is going to be challenged in court, you know, and my hope is that it's going to be overturned because it's just summarily illegal by everything that I know. Donald Trump, for those of you who don't know, Donald Trump issued an executive order canceling union contracts and the ability of federal workers to unionize. And if you're wondering, hey, how many people does that affect? The answer is around 700,000 workers. And I think y'all need to maybe reckon with the idea that essentially he has just pissed off 700,000 people who rely on those unions. And I do think that ultimately a judge is going to find that deeply unconstitutional to summarily strip bargaining rights from 700,000 people. But yeah, like this is why we need to keep getting louder and louder and louder and organizing more and more and more people. Watch as it happens anyway. I mean, they haven't lost their jobs. They've just lost bargaining rights. I imagine they're going to get that back. But in the meantime, there need to be mass demonstrations. We need to make sure April 5th is colossal, you know? We need to get more people out. We need to get more people loud. We need to grab more people for these demonstrations. Because ultimately, what this administration understands is power. That's the only thing they care about. It's the only thing they understand. And we need to make it clear we have the power because we have the people. You can organize more people in DSA. There's likely already a chapter near you. True, Gamer G. So join your local DSA. Join your local Dems. Make sure you start going to those protests. Tesla takedown is an excellent way to start flexing your protesting muscles. Go on April 5th. Demonstration on the 5th, another 50-51. Sylvie DB, Exactly. Another 50-51, but this time they are teaming up with a lot of other organizing and protesting groups, namely Indivisible, which I've been a huge proponent of. A lot of other organizing groups are also coordinating for April 5th. So, folks, we need to get out there and we need to we need to get out there. We need to be loud, and we cannot be silenced. We must continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. My understanding is that April 5th is going to be kind of an intermediary, not an intermediary, an intermediate attempt at a mass organizing, because last time it was fairly large. The goal is to make it larger. And then there's going to be another one after that, and it's going to be bigger. And when there's going to be another one after that, it's going to be bigger. Like, the entire purpose of this is so that we can build up a movement where we can then point and say, see, this is what people want. This is what people stand for. This is what people are getting loud about. This is what we need to do. What's happening on April 5th? On April 5th, there is a 50-51 calling for protests in every state capital. Here. It is backed by a number of different movements. Here's a link to the website about it. And that is what we're going to be trying to do. We're throwing a lot of weight into this. We got to get people out. By state capital, they mean New York City and not Albany, New York. Yeah, you can find your event that's coming up on April 5th. It's a week from Saturday. Yep. It is to protest. It is to make noise against Elon Musk, against Donald Trump, against the fundamental rejection of our constitutional order that this administration represents, against Doge. And we need to get loud. We need to get normies. Bring your moms, bring your dads, bring your grandmas, bring your grandpas. Because you know what? I'm guessing they want to protect their Social Security. I'm guessing they want to protect their Medicaid. Get out there. Get out there, folks. We need it. We need people to give a shit. And to show that you give a shit, you need to get loud, and you need to stay loud. Until either they back down or they start engaging in violence. And at that point, we have a very different conversation. Question is one of the getting out there folks. Can I have a break, please? I'm taking tomorrow off. Do it. You've been doing so much more than most, Lady Raincloud. Give yourself a day off to recover. And don't burn out. We all gotta burn. We all gotta burn at a sustainable rate. Instruction unclear. Grandpa's ashes can't get loud. You need to try a little bit harder. Honestly, and I mean this with some level of sincerity, bringing your loved one's ashes to a protest is kind of metal. Can't go to the protest on April 5th? Then consider getting involved in phone banking for Josh Wheel in the Florida's 1st congressional district, or 6th congressional district, rather. Consider Phone banking for Susan Crawford for state Supreme Court in Wisconsin. We need people to knock doors in those areas if you're local there. Because these elections are really fucking important, folks. Really fucking important, and they are so close that you can actually make a difference by just you getting involved, okay? I'm going to drop links for that in chat. Super, super important. Here's a link for Susan Crawford. You can volunteer to knock doors or phone bank, and you can phone bank regardless of where you are in this country. It's super easy. They give you training. They give you a script. You can do this. The goal is just to get people out on Election Day, which is April 1st, which is next Tuesday. Super important. Super, super important. And here is the link for Josh Wheel's events. Here you go. Here you go. If we flip a congressional seat in Florida, we get that much closer to retaking the House, which currently we need 3 Republicans in order to flip. We need 3 Republicans to defect in order to flip it. If Josh Wheel wins, we only need 2 Republicans to flip. Okay? You guys can do this. I believe in you guys. But I can't be the only one working here. You guys have to do your parts too. When we all pull together, the weight is manageable. Okay? We got a lot of shit to do. The U.S. House? Yes, the U.S. House of Representatives. Polling came out in Florida's 6th congressional district that showed the Democratic challenger, who was considered a foregone conclusion, is now within the polling margin of error, meaning that he actually has a shot at winning that congressional seat. So get out the vote for Josh Wheel, all right? We'll try my best over the weekend. Hexahedron, that's what I love to see from chatters. That's the kind of attitude I like to see. What district in Florida? The 6th congressional district. I'm not from where he is, though. Doesn't matter. You can phone bank regardless of where you are in America. If you can't door knock because you're not physically there, that's fine. You can volunteer for his campaign regardless of where you're from, and you can phone bank. We're that close? Yep. No idea, Coder Joe. Whew. With that, folks, I don't think we're going to get to what I wanted to get to today, which is the laws of eternity. Because it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and I need to sleep. But we'll get to that tomorrow. We'll do our Laws of Eternity stream tomorrow, come hell or high water. And I think tomorrow I might also play a video game. Yeah, we'll do our Laws of Eternity anime viewing tomorrow. And y'all, you're not ready. Can we do Shadiversity? Maybe tomorrow? Maybe. No promises on that one. What is Laws of Eternity? I'm so glad you asked.
Color.
Let's see here. Excellent. I still have it keyed up. Here you go. Here's just a quick look at a short clip of Laws of Eternity.
How have you been, Yuko?
What?
I'm Helen Keller.
You mean the Helen Keller who fought deafness and blindness?
Are you uncomfortable seeing a talkative Helen who can see and hear, Yuko?
Wow, that's pretty bigoted of you, Yuko. Anyway, we'll watch that movie tomorrow on stream. I think it'll be great. It was made by a cult. We'll do it. We'll do some education about what the cult believes, and we'll dive into it. Wow, are you uncomfortable being able to see and hear me speak? Wow, pretty bigoted. Oh no, did I miss stream? You did. It's 4:30 in the morning for me. I gotta go to sleep. No content ID risk? My guess is no, because I found this movie uploaded like 12 different places on YouTube. So I'm gonna go with probably not. That looks awesome. Yeah. Oh yeah, Maddie, it's there's a cult in Japan, I believe Japan, called Happy Science. And they believe some wacky shit. Yeah, it's one of the new Japanese religions, which if you ever want a trip, just look into some of those. They're yeah, it is very Scientology. So with that, folks, I will see you all later today. And oh god. Yeah. Wait, by the way, as I mentioned, I lived in Aurora and the scariest gang was a Russian Bravta. In the area, nobody can seem to do anything about them. Yeah, it's crazy how that was ignored completely, you know? Whew. Good night, everybody. I'm very Bratva. I can't read. My degree was a sham. I'm illiterate. All right. Bye, everybody.
Would you have freedom from wage slavery and join in the grand industrial band? Would you from misery and hunger be free and come do your share like a man? There is power in the band of working men when they stand hand in hand. That's the power that must rule in every land, one industrial union grand. Would you have sharings, the gold in the sky, and live in a shack away in the back? Would you have wings up in heaven to fly and starve here with rags on your back? There is power in the band of working men when they stand hand in hand. That's the power that must rule in every land, one industrial union land. If you've had enough of the blood of the lamb, then join in the grand industrial band. If for a change you would have eggs and ham, come do your share like a man. There is power in the band of working men when they stand hand in hand. That's the power that must rule in every land, one industrial union band. Well, if you like sluggers to beat off your head, then don't organize or unions despise. If you are nothing before you are dead, shake hands with your boss and look wise. There is power in the band of working men when they stand that's the power that must rule in every land. One industrial union band. Oh, come, oh, ye workers from every land, join in the grand industrial band. Then we our share of this earth shall demand. Come do your part like a man. There is power in the band of working men when they stand hand in hand. That's the power that must rule in every land. One industrial union band. Would you take contently what's put in your hand, less than you've earned with one leg to stand? Would you believe what they tell you to be, or with brothers go out and see? There is power